and welcome back to the Conscious Breath. We are entering now into episode number 9. We've covered a whole bunch of material the past few weeks on different types of pranayama practices, and we will carry forward with those today. So we'll give folks a couple of minutes to sign on, and then we'll go through our recap of what we did last week and discuss the practices that we are going to do this week. So, thanks all for signing on and for joining back in again. This week we are going to continue along with the practice of some of the mudras and bandhas that we began practicing last week. And these are the very crucial and foundational practices of pranayama. So for folks who are joining us for the first time, you are, of course, welcome. And even if you haven't taken the earlier classes, you'll still be able to follow along with pretty much everything that we are doing in this class. So please hang out with us and give these things a try. The practices of pranayama are ancient practices from the yogic tradition. Prana is a word that is translated as breath, as vital energy. It is the force which causes things to move. So all things move because of prana, including our breath and including us as beings. And all the things that grow in the world and move in the world are also instigated or impelled forth through prana. And so as prana is the main thing that sustains us individually, then we want to extend that and maximize that and harness it so that we can extend the pranic duration of our life and as well our energy and our vitality, and probably most directly the power of our mind, because prana and the mind in the yogic tradition are said to be the same thing. So as our breath moves, our mind moves, and when our breath becomes very still and quiet, the mind becomes very still and quiet as well. So you can feel that after just doing a few minutes of these practices, automatically the mind begins to settle down. And there's interesting research which has been done in the West regarding this, showing how certain pressure just within the nasal cavity, within the nose, will begin to change and synchronize brainwave functioning. The entrainment of the brain and the harmony of brainwave functioning can occur just through some simple pressure that we apply to the nose and through the different breathing ways that we experience or find in the pranayama practices. So we have ancient wisdom combined with the modern findings that aren't so much verifying that pranayama works, but just showing here's another way that we can see that it is very efficacious. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin our practices for today. We always begin with what we've been calling our introductory practices, and these are just some very simple, gentle breathing patterns. So you can sit comfortably on the floor or in a chair. If you're in a bed for any reason, that's fine. You don't have to be sitting super straight, just comfortably straight. However, these can also be done lying on your back. And the first thing we're going to do is bring our hands onto the abdomen, resting one hand on top of the other. And then relax your belly out into your hands. So you're just going to sit for a moment and relax the belly out into your hands. And then keeping your hands where they are, exhale and begin to pull your belly away from your hands back towards your spine. And then as you inhale, your belly rests out into your hands. And then exhale, gently pull the belly away from your hands. So your hands are not moving. The only thing moving is your belly. Give this a try. And it's a fairly gentle movement. When you feel that you're comfortably filled with the breath, that's when you stop and move naturally and smoothly into your exhalation. And so this sends messages from the nervous system of the abdominal region, the enteric nervous system, sending messages up through the vagus nerve to the brain of steadiness, of calmness, of rhythmicity, and it sends messages of safety to the brain. Everything is okay. Everything is calm. You can manage. Just do this for about another 2 or 3 breaths. Enjoying the fullness of the breath. Okay, now we're going to bring our hands to the side ribs. And you're going to place your hands so you can feel them on your very lower ribs. And I'll adjust my screen so you can see my hands. Bringing my hands right to here on the lower ribs. And now as I inhale, I'm going to breathe into the palms of my hands and push my ribs out to the side. And as I exhale, I'm going to push the hands gently on the ribs, squeezing the ribs a little bit back together. I'm going to inhale and push my ribs out to the sides. And exhale, push the ribs gently back together. So now I'm encouraging the outward expansion of my diaphragm muscle. In the first breathing practice, we were feeling the up and down movement of the diaphragm. And now we're feeling the outward and inward movement of the diaphragm. Articulate the expansion of your ribs as you breathe. And just one more breath into the ribs. And exhaling. Okay, rest your hands on your knees. And now we're going to do the humming breath, where as we exhale, we're going to make a high-pitched humming sound in the very back of the throat. And this is to energize the palate for breathing. This also sends very calming messages to the brain, is soothing for the vagus nerve in the area of the trachea, and also is good for helping to balance blood pressure. So we'll do this 4 times, inhaling through your nose. Exhale, making a high-pitched humming sound in the back of the throat. This can sometimes make your dogs jump around crazily. If you happen to have dogs, try again, inhale. Two more, inhaling. feel the palate of your mouth vibrating as you do this. One more inhale. And now as you begin to breathe through your nose, feel your breath rising high up into your nasal cavity as you inhale. And keep the awareness high in the nasal cavity as you exhale. Imagine you're smelling the scent of a rose or your favorite smelling flower or scent. Letting the awareness rise deep towards the olfactory nerves in the nose. And it's a pleasant feeling of elongation of the breath, a natural elongation. And then on this next one, we will relax the breathing. Okay. So this is the preparatory practices that we're doing. It's basically our warm-up practices for the breathing. We felt some abdominal movement of the breath, and then some rib cage movement of the breath, and then stimulation in the throat, and then stimulation in the nose. So the entire range of where our breathing is moving and affecting, we've brought some awareness there. And pranayama is a practice of awareness, not so much just breathing practices, but a practice of awareness with breath. So today we are going to again practice Ashwini Mudra, Uddiyana bandha, and Jalandhara bandha, followed by some of the different pranayama practices. The Ashwini Mudra and Mula bandha are the lifting of the anal sphincter muscles. And these are important muscles to stimulate because we have parasympathetic nerves that come out from the sacrum, innervating the entire pelvic floor, sending messages back and forth from the brain. And the control of this energy and the control of this flow of information is an important part of pranayama, as much as filling the lungs and focusing in the nose. So we're going to do this Ashwini Mudra by coming to lie down on your back. So I'm going to come lie on my yoga mat over here. And if you want to take a pillow to put underneath your head, if you have any neck discomfort, you can go ahead and put a pillow underneath your head. You don't need to, but only if you want to. And your feet are going to be flat on the floor, the knees bent, and the feet pointing up in the air. And your hands are going to rest on the floor by your sides. So Ashwini Mudra is simply lifting and releasing your anal sphincter, almost as if you were going to resist a bowel movement. So just lying down on the floor, you can try it a few times, lifting the anal sphincter and relaxing, lifting and relaxing, lifting and relaxing. Try this a few times. And in the yoga tradition, there's the importance given to a feeling of lightness in the body, lightness in the breath, and lightness in the mind. And so the strength of the pelvic floor muscles is said to contribute to this lightness of the body that supports the lightness of the breathing. So what we'll do now is we'll inhale a comfortable inhale. Hold your breath in for a moment and do Ashwini Mudra 5 times. Squeeze and release the anal sphincter. And then exhale slowly. Inhale again. Hold your breath in, squeeze and release 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and exhale. Again, inhale. And 5 times holding your breath in, squeeze and release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Now we'll do 3 times on an exhalation. So inhale the breath. Exhale slowly. Hold your breath out. And now do Ashwini Mudra 5 times. Hold the breath out and squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale. Hold your breath out, squeeze and release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale. Squeeze and release. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excuse me. And 5. Got some dust in my throat. So now, please pull your right knee in towards your chest. Straighten your left leg out on the floor. And we'll do the same thing in this position. Inhale. Hold the breath in. Do Ashwini Mudra 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Inhale, hold the breath in. Squeeze and release 5 times. Exhale. One more time, inhale. And Ashwini Mudra 5 times. Squeeze and release the sphincter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale. Pull your left knee in towards your chest. Wrap your hands around your knee. And straighten your right leg out on the floor. You can gently pull the knee in towards you. Inhale the breath. Hold the breath in and squeeze and release the anal sphincter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Inhale. Squeeze and release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to hold Ashwini Mudra as you exhale. One more round, inhale. Hold the breath in, Ashwini Mudra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold up as you exhale. Good. Now, bend the right knee back into the chest. Wrap your hands around your right knee. Straighten your left leg out on the floor. Now we'll do it on an exhalation. Inhale. Exhale slowly. Hold your breath out. Do Ashwini Mudra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale. Hold the breath out. Do 5 Ashwini Mudras. Inhale. Last round, exhale. Squeeze and release 5 times. Squeeze and inhale. Exhale, bend your knee in towards your chest. Wrap your hands around the left leg. Straighten your right leg out on the floor. And inhale the breath. Exhale slowly. Keep the breath held out. Do Ashwini Mudra 5 times. Inhale. Exhale slowly. Ashwini Mudra. Last one, inhale. Exhale. 5 rounds of Ashwini Mudra. Good. Inhale. And exhale. Place your foot flat on the floor. So keeping your feet on the floor, the knees up. Feel a little bit of a pelvic tilt, so your lower back is not pressing flat on the floor. And then keeping that position, do Ashwini Mudra 5 times. And the last time, squeeze Ashwini Mudra and lift your hips a few inches up off the ground. Then we'll stay here and breathe 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly place your hips back on the floor so your back stays a little arched. You're not rolling your back flat to the floor. So there always stays a little bit of an arch. Again, do Ashwini Mudra and feel how when you do it in this position, the lower abdomen a little bit pulls in. And then inhale, lift your hips up, breathe. Now inhale a breath, exhale completely. Keeping your breath held out, reach your hips down to the floor near your heels. Feel the lower belly gently pull in. And then inhale and exhale. So this is called Uddiyana bandha, the pulling in of the lower abdomen. We'll do that one more time. With a little arch in your lower back, do Ashwini Mudra. Lift your hips in the air. Breathe here for a moment. Inhale. Exhale. Hold your breath out. Slowly reach your hips to the floor, reaching them towards your heels. Feel the lower belly come in, then relax and inhale. And exhale. Do this one more time. Do Ashwini Mudra. Inhale your hips a little in the air. And this time you can raise your arms over your head to the floor behind you. And this time we're going to roll the spine. So inhale a breath. Exhale and slowly lay your back on the floor, one vertebra at a time. Inhale. Exhale the arms down. Let's actually do that one more time. Do Ashwini Mudra. Inhale, lift your hips in the air. Exhale there. Bring your arms over your head as you inhale. And now, inhale one more breath. Exhale and begin to roll your spine one vertebra at a time onto the floor, like you're placing a wet piece of spaghetti in a straight line on a table. Inhale when you've come all the way down. Exhale the arms by the sides. So that movement of the lower abdomen is called Uddiyana bandha. And bend the knees towards your chest. Keep your hands on the fronts of the kneecaps. We'll do 4 apanasanas. Inhale, straighten your arms. Keep hold of your knees. Exhale, bend the knees gently in. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale, bend the knees in. Inhale, the arms straight, knees pulled away. Exhale, pull the knees in. One more, inhale, the knees come away, the arms straight. Exhale, pull the knees in. Relax for a moment. And then crossing your ankles, try rocking yourself up to a seated position or roll to the side and come to sit up. Okay, and let's come back to sit. Okay, so this is the Ashwini Mudra and Uddiyana bandha. The next practice we will do is the Jalandhara bandha. And this is the chin lock to stimulate the vagus nerve and to also massage the baroreceptors that wrap around the carotid arteries that are monitoring our blood pressure. So the way we do the Jalandhara bandha is we inhale a comfortable breath, we reach our chin forward and down to lock right in between the collarbones and lift the chest up to the chin. So if you have any neck problems, you can avoid doing this by putting your head all the way down. Just keep the chin a little pulled in and lift your chest. But if you don't have any neck problems, then you can lower the chin all the way down. Okay, so this is what we will do. Inhale slowly. Hold the breath in for a moment. Lower the chin down to the chest. Lift the chest up. Do Mula bandha, lifting the anal sphincter. And then lift the head and exhale. Okay, we'll try that a few times. Inhale slowly. Rest the chin down towards the chest. You can just rest it down and then lift the chest up towards the chin. Lift the head and exhale. Okay, so even if you can't lock it all the way down, that's okay. Just rest the chin down a little bit towards the chest. Last one. Inhale slowly. Rest the chin down towards the chest. Lift the chest up. Do Mula bandha. Lift the head and exhale. Okay, so these are the primary important bandhas that help to control the energy and also the pressure that the breath is making on the different parts of the body when we happen to be retaining the breath. Okay, so let's now move on to the Kapalabhati. We're going to do 3 rounds of just 10 pumpings each, followed by Anuloma viloma with breath holds. And with the Anuloma viloma, we'll begin to practice the 3 bandhas. If you're not comfortable with breath holds, you don't have to hold the breath when we do the Anuloma viloma. So Kapalabhati, the abdominal pumpings, we've covered this in the earlier classes. For those who haven't been here before, the abdominal pumping means like if you were going to blow your nose just with a quick exhalation through the nose, or if you're going to try to blow out a candle with your nose instead of through your mouth, that's what the breath is like. So it's a energetic exhale followed by a relaxed inhale. Just like you're blowing your nose and then inhaling after. So we'll do 10 of these, followed by 2 breaths, followed by another 10. Okay? Here we go. Inhale. And begin. A long exhalation. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Second round of 10 pumpings. Inhale. And begin. And 10. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Last round. Inhale. And begin 10 pumpings. And 10. Slow inhale. And a slow exhale. Slow inhalation. And a slow exhalation. Okay, so this is Kapalabhati. It is an energizing purification practice. Also strengthens the abdominal walls mildly and helps to clear the nasal passageways. It's best to avoid this if you're pregnant or if you have a recent hernia surgery or presently have a hernia or very high blood pressure. I apologize, I should have said that before we did this, for those of you who are new to this practice. The next practice is safe for basically everyone to do, and we're going to start introducing breath holds this week. If you're not comfortable with holding the breath or you have high blood pressure, you can avoid the breath holds. But if you're ready to start trying, I will give the instruction on how to do that. So we'll be doing the alternate nostril breathing using the hand gesture of bringing the first two fingers into the palm so your ring finger and thumb can touch. The ring finger and the thumb of the right hand can touch. And when we breathe, the right thumb is going to close your right nostril, and then the left, and then the right ring finger is going to close your left nostril. So even if you just keep your fingers like this right in front of your nose for a moment, you can see the economy of movement by just pressing either the right or the left side. Okay, so we are going to be affecting the nostril dominance, or the change in how the dominance of one nostril to the other changes throughout the day, which also is affecting brain hemisphere function, as well as many other things. But it's a natural rhythm of the body. So what we're really doing here is we're supporting the natural rhythmicity of the body through the alternate nostril breathing. So let's just do a couple of simple, easy rounds. Inhale through both nostrils. Put your thumb on your right nostril and exhale out through the left. And then inhale through the left side. And exhale out through the right, just changing your fingers. And inhale through the right. Exhale left. Inhale left freely to your own length. And when you're ready, exhale through the right. So continue like this. Just breathe at your own pace. As long as your inhale comes in, let it be that long. And then exhale out through the opposite nostril, as long as the breath is. And then again through that opposite, inhale, and then change and exhale. Just go back and forth 2 or 3 times. Just get used to the sensation. Not too deep of a breath, only a comfortable breath. After your next exhalation through your left nostril, please rest your hand on your knee for a moment and breathe. And just notice any difference in the nasal cavity, in the nostrils themselves. Okay, now we're going to do this again. And we're going to measure how long we are breathing for. So inhale and count how many seconds you breathe in for. And then exhale out through the opposite nostril with the same breath. If you inhale for 5, exhale for 5. If you inhale for 6, exhale for 6. And do that 3 times back and forth. So we're going to do 3 countings with the same amount of length of the inhalation and exhalation. And you're breathing a long, comfortable breath, not too deep. Otherwise, it overtaxes the lungs. Okay, go ahead. Keep your awareness focused on the smoothness and the count. Rest your hand on your knee when you're done. Breathe through both nostrils. Okay, now we will move on to the next level of Anuloma Viloma. You're going to inhale through your left nostril. Count how many seconds you inhale for. Then hold your breath in by pinching both of your nostrils closed. And then lift your opposite and exhale for the same amount of time. So if you inhale for 5, hold for 5, and exhale for 5. And we'll do that back and forth, just 2 full rounds. No strain. And feel as though when you are retaining the breath, it's a natural pause, not that you are trying too hard to hold your breath. It just becomes a natural interruption to the breathing. Sorry, not a natural interruption, a natural extension of the breathing as a pause. Okay? So closing your right nostril, inhale comfortably through your left. Pause the breath. And then exhale through the opposite. Continue. You can also pause the breath by not closing the nostrils, just keeping one nostril open if you feel too much pressure when you close. And then relax the hand down to the knee and breathe. Sit quietly for a moment. Move your awareness inwardly. And bring your awareness to the region of your heart. And see if you can feel a sense of lightness or a luminosity at your heart center. And then breathe into the back of your throat through your nose. Direct the breath towards the heart. And then close your right nostril and exhale out through the left without making a sound. And at the end of your exhalation, inhale through both nostrils to the back of the throat, directly to the heart. Close the right nostril and exhale, close the left and exhale out the right without making a sound. Do this on your own 4 more times. And feel a lightness as you exhale. Feeling a sense of the luminosity at the heart. When you exhale through the single nostril, the breath is almost imperceptible, just as though you're letting go of the breath gently, gently, gently. No strain. And then after you finish your rounds, rest your hands on your knee. Again, meditating on the luminosity at the heart center, a feeling of lightness. And then to conclude our practice, we'll do 5 rounds of Bramhari, as we did in the beginning. Bramhari is the humming bee pranayama, making a high-pitched humming sound at the back of the throat. And we will do this with the Shanmukhi Mudra, placing your thumbs in your ears, the 2 fingers over the eyes, 1 finger below the nose, and the other 2 below the lips. Okay, so that's the Shanmukhi Mudra. If you can't get your fingers in all those positions, just close your ears with your thumbs and place your fingers over your eyes. Just like that is enough as well. Okay, and we will do 5 rounds, exhaling, making the high-pitched humming sound. Go ahead. Inhale. Resting the hands on the knees when you finish. Sit quietly in meditation for a moment, sensing the openness of the sense organs in the head. Okay, so this concludes our practice for today. The sequence that we did is in the comment section. I'm at the description section of YouTube there, and you can follow along for the next week. And of course, you can always rewatch this as you need to. And let's see, it will be on YouTube. It will also be on my Instagram, which is at Eddie Stern. So let's go into the little bit of discussion that we do each week, and then I'll save a few minutes for questions at the end. In the practice of pranayama, there are different classifications of the things that we do. So the alternate nostril breathing is called Nadi Shodhana, which means nerve purification. And there are many different types of those, a lot of varieties. And in the ancient text, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there are 8 different pranayamas that are given. And the pranayama is defined as kumbhaka, or the retention or holding of the breath. And an inhalation means a puraka. That's the Sanskrit word for inhalation. And exhalation is rechaka. So in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, we see pranayama discussed as inhalation, exhalation, retention. Different types of inhalations and exhalations. But retention is always the same. It's just the holding of the breath. And the retention is called kumbhaka. But in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the pranayamas are a little bit different. And there are 4 different types that are discussed. There is the pause after the inhalation, the pause after the exhalation, and then the pause during inhalation and exhalation, and then a pause that occurs naturally when there is neither an inhalation nor an exhalation. So that sounds a little bit esoteric, and it is, in fact, because we pay very little attention during the day to how we actually breathe and the functions of it. And the idea within Patanjali's yoga is to have a very deep inner sense of how our breath operates. And so he speaks of the inner and outer operation of the breath. And he discusses it in regards to the practice of regulating the breath, regulating the flow of the breath. And when there's a pause in the breath, it's not called kumbhaka, but it's called the stambha vritti, which is a temporary pause or stopping. So that's what we're going to discuss for a few minutes today, not too long. Practically speaking, you can just keep in mind that pranayama is the practice of regulating and immersing your awareness in the inhalation, exhalation, the pauses between them, using varying types of speeds, repetitions, and duration. So how did we do that today? Today we did 3 different types of alternate nostril breathing. The first one was simply inhalation and exhalation, and we did it freely without regulating the count. And then the second one, we varied the speed. We said however long you inhale for, that's how long you exhale for. And we did 4 repetitions of that. And so that was the repetition, and the duration was for the amount of time it took. And then in the last one, we changed it slightly. So we did an inhalation, exhalation, the same length, and we added a pause or retention of the same count within that practice. So then the speed again varied, the repetitions varied, and the duration changed because we added in the retention. So this is the formula basically for all of the different types of practices. We're always going to be inhaling and exhaling. Sometimes we're going to be pausing, and we're going to think about the speed or the length of the breath, how many repetitions we do, and the duration. And you can see in the different homework assignments we've had over the past 9 lessons that we're varying the duration and we're varying the speeds as well as we progress from week to week. So in the Yoga Sutra, Patanjali says that after we have gotten a certain amount of, say, perfection or proficiency rather in posture, then we begin practicing pranayama. So we should be able to sit steadily for a certain amount of time, at least 15 or 20 minutes before we begin these practices. Now, however, there are cases where people can begin the pranayama or breathing practices before they perfect the asanas. Perhaps you're in a wheelchair, or maybe you're bedridden. Maybe there's something happening with your body which is preventing you from doing asanas. Well, if you can breathe, then you can still do these pranayama practices. So this idea of needing to perfect or be proficient in asanas is not always necessary for being able to do these practices, which is why pranayama and meditation are so wonderful in that they're accessible to all people. Another thing that we should always remember in the Patanjali version of pranayama is that we're not so concerned with, say, the holding of the breath or the control of the breath, but the active breathing. And inherent in the active breathing is going to naturally be that control. So you might have seen that when we did the inhalation through both nostrils and then held one and then just let the breath go very gently, we weren't really trying to exert control over the breath, but in letting it go so gently and so quietly, there's automatically this deep inner awareness of the process of breathing. So we want to be concerned with the process, the sensation, the tactile sense of breath. And that is where we enter into these inner awareness practices of pranayama. We're not imposing something on our body. We're becoming aware of a natural process, and then we're regulating it in a particular way. So before I take questions, I'd like to quote from Hariharananda Aranya, who wrote a commentary on Yoga Sutra, which I refer to on a regular basis. And he said, in regards to pranayama, contemplation on God or on a feeling physical or a feeling of physical or mental void or emptiness, or a feeling of luminosity within the heart, has to be practiced with each incoming and outgoing breath. Thus, breathing and quieting of mind have to be practiced with each breath. And basically what he's saying is that when we are having this feeling of luminosity, or when we have this feeling of mental quietness, or when we are contemplating that our breath is given to us by the divine or by God, then automatically this quieting of the mind occurs with the breathing process. And that is really what our goal is with pranayama. Okay, so those are our lessons for today. I'll take a few questions now if there is anything that I can answer. Thank you again for attending these classes. I appreciate everyone who signs in. And let's see, the name of my book is One Simple Thing, A New Look at the Science of Yoga. And in my book, I do discuss these practices. On YouTube, you can find these videos on the Chopra Well, and that's Deepak Chopra's channel, the Chopra Well, under videos. And on Instagram, you can find it on @EddieStern. Okay, this is great. I don't really see a lot of questions. The last exercise that we did was Bramhari, the humming bee pranayama. Okay, great. Thank you all very much for joining. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Peace.